So I was going to make this video tomorrow, but Shar knows how excited I am for stuff like this in particular, and said, go, make one now, do it now. So, of course, while I'm still high on this excitement, it's a great time to talk about it. The Nintendo Direct was really, really good today. There's going to be a lot of folks who have different opinions and who like different games in the Direct and or might consider the remakes and revisits and ports and all that to be not that much of a big deal. And the thing that they showed at the very end of the Direct, the Nintendo Direct, was something that we, of course, expected to be there, and we were very, very happy to see it, and that's going to be very exciting, and the release date for that game is awesome, and I can't wait to play that. But aside from all of that, there was one game in particular that made me more excited than any of the other games, because it was something I just did not expect. Not today, not in a million years did I expect I would be seeing the return of Level 5 and one of my favorite games of all time getting a new entry in its series, and that is Fantasy Life. Fantasy Life for the 3DS is an RPG with a lot of different life sim elements, a lot of the same things that we've seen throughout the years, but it does all of the things that it does, in my opinion, if I do say so myself, 100% right. It has one of the best combinations of all of the systems, and it does all of the systems that it has in such great ways that I could probably 100% this game and then make a new character and play it all the way back from the beginning. And I'm not the only person who plays the game with that mindset. Most of the people who play Fantasy Life can understand what I'm saying. Level 5 dissolved its North American operations, but we were able to get a glimmer of hope for some sort of return of Fantasy Life in some form with Fantasy Life Online. Previously, it was Japan only, and then Bolt Rend brought it to our North American shores so that we were able to play the not quite MMORPG, more of just an online RPG. We could still gather up with friends and take on the boss raids and seasonal events and things like that. But there's just one problem, and that's Bolt Rend's reputation outdid itself when the famed producer of games that it takes only to ruin with microtransactions and then promptly flush down the toilet closed its servers for Fantasy Life just a few days ago. Something that I did not expect to happen. I did actually do a few videos on Fantasy Life Online and was kindly sponsored by Bolt Rend through their giving me of different codes to share as an affiliate on my channel so that people could use my codes and get 50 free gems or whatever. But it wasn't very long for me to figure out that it really is that kind of a game where it's just a money sink. There's a lot of things in it that are in Fantasy Life. There's a lot of the same systems. The graphics are a beautiful upgrade of Fantasy Life's whole world on the Nintendo 3DS, and there are several new areas. Well, there were. It's now a done deal. The servers have shut down. I didn't even know they had shut down because I haven't touched the game in months. But it was definitely one of those spend money to buy gems, use those gems to get gacha weapons and gacha characters. And while I had a few of those gacha characters and I thought that was really cool, stuff like that doesn't sit well with me, because if the game doesn't have a long-standing reputation or existing IPs to draw from, like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV or Elder Scrolls Online, there's going to be a real risk that they're not going to be able to stick around forever, and all of that money that you sink whaling into your purchase of the gacha assets that you get could just go down the sink. Well, that no longer matters with Fantasy Life, because the unthinkable has happened and Level 5 has resumed their operations, or are getting ready to resume full operations on our shores. We might actually be able to see all kinds of different Level 5 games. We saw in the Nintendo Direct today that there's going to be a Professor Layton game on the Switch, and we saw that there's going to be a new Fantasy Life game. So that's what I want to talk about. We saw the trailer for Fantasy Life and I could not believe my eyes. I immediately got up and started jumping around the room, and I've been fond of telling everybody how I got up and was jumping around the room because I didn't know how to contain my excitement for this revival of this property that I never ever would have expected to be revived. I'd given up on Fantasy Life. I was content to play my copy of the 3DS game in my bedroom and just play until it has that sort of effect where I want to fall asleep. So I play and I finish a few quests and I run to the save point before I doze off and my Nintendo 3DS battery dies. But what I want to do right now with you is take a look at that Nintendo Direct trailer for Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. That's the title of it. And it doesn't seem like it's going to be a remake quite, but rather a completely new game. Despite having a lot of the same characters, let's break it down. I want to see this trailer again and again and again. Alright, so it starts off, we see Damien, who is the Prince of Al-Magique and his guardian. We see all kinds of characters actually, but the scene moves very, very quickly. So let's slow it down and move it back just a bit. We've got some training dummies. We have Damien's guardian. We have one of the fisher folk, the anglers that you befriend during the angler quests. We have one of the cooks that you befriend in Fantasy Life during the cook quests. And it looks like he is right at the 3-part station that Fantasy Life's crafting systems all revolve around. They all have stations when you go to craft your items, and you've got 3 different places that you can be. And each one of these has a different sort of button input that you have to perform in order to be able to advance your crafting meter until the item that you're trying to craft is done. And as we continue to zoom out, we've got a paladin who's worried about Princess Laura, who's out here on a swing. So we definitely have lots of characters from the original Fantasy Life game. We can see in the background here a guild office. The guild office's symbol has always been this ship mast. And pulling out more, we have the Nap Dragon and several buildings and even more characters that look just like villagers. They may not have been major characters in the original Fantasy Life. A well, some hills, beautiful waterfalls. I see some mining nodes. I think there may be Douglas or one of the other miners down there mining away at this node. We see a legendary mining node here on the right side in the background. And I see a couple of what looks like legendary fish. And right here, can't get a good look at that girl. She may be in the original as well, though. And I see that we have a woodcutter here, although I don't know if they're wearing the traditional woodcutter outfits. This may be representative of the player character, because it's the leather outfit that you get in the game. And there's our player character, I believe, running around. This lady here, I haven't seen her very much because I have the Origin Island DLC for Fantasy Life. I believe that she is one of the main characters in that DLC, but I haven't spent a lot of time in that DLC because I wanted to 100% the base game first, and I kind of sank over 120 hours into the base game, and when I finally got around to unlocking the Origin Island DLC and getting to the point where I could go into it and use it, I got into it and decided that I wanted to back out and get closer to 100%ing everything out in the other places. So I did that, and then I lost my save file, and I'm started back over with my 53-hour save file, just trying to 100% Castell before I move on to Port Puerto. So here she says, I'm going to send you back 1,000 years. Where are we now? This looks a lot like Origin Island, actually. I see very, very similar architecture. But then we have this mind-blowing element here. We've got this golem who seems to be with the girl, the Origin Island girl, and he just placed down a block. He is literally terraforming, and he placed down a block there as well. And yeah, guys, I know we have lots of games out that let you do this sort of thing. Some of them are as in-depth as Fantasy Life, almost. Not really anywhere near it. I mean, we've got games like Story of Seasons that let you do a little bit of this sort of terraforming, and they're mainly about building bases and farming with some relationship elements and crafting elements. And you can, of course, gather, but you gather just by collecting things around the farm. And you can, of course, mine, but you have to go into the mines to mine. This is a little bit different, and seeing this addition to Fantasy Life, or a game that could play exactly like Fantasy Life, is pretty exciting to me, because this opens up a whole new dimension to a game that doesn't even need it to be a lot of fun and feel really, really complete. We saw the woodcutter in the last scene. Here we have some karates, as well as what looks like a wadishi in the background. The cook is getting ready to run back and forth between the 3 stations, and there's Princess Laura cheering him on. I don't know if Laura in this game is just here for the presentation of this reveal, or if NPCs will be cheering you on while you're making stuff just for flavor, or if it would actually provide you with some stat boosts or something. I don't know if she would have to join the team first for you to be able to do that, but that would be pretty amazing. More additions to the mechanics. Now we have a paladin, and then you're with Damien, who is a mercenary, and you're fighting the Nap Dragon. Swings, looks like we get to build out the village. Again, the game didn't need it, but it has it, it looks like, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to give us a lot of different new rewards to go out and collect and work for, earn, to try to use back in our little village. This could be so much fun. Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. I don't know why it's Fantasy Life I, but I mean, I don't need reasons. I'm not looking for any sort of analysis there. I just wanted to study the trailer and share my excitement over what is one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion, Fantasy Life. If you like or love Fantasy Life, I would actually want to recommend to you Snack World. You can get Snack World on the Switch as well as the 3DS. The one for the Switch is pretty nice. It's refined. It's also made by Level 5, and it has a lot of elements that Fantasy Life has. Not so much elements of what Fantasy Life does, like the same way. There are a lot of quirks, and there's a very specific kind of humor tied to this. But you should know that the soul of Fantasy Life kind of feels like it's embedded in here somewhere. So the game does really, really play a lot differently than Fantasy Life does, but it's worth taking a look at and looking into and watching some gameplay. Although if you're like me, you probably watched gameplay of Fantasy Life too and concluded that that might not have been the game for you, because the gameplay just doesn't translate that well over video. But of course, I'm so glad that I didn't judge the game based on that, and I picked it up anyway, because it's, like I've said many times and probably will continue to say many more times, one of my favorite games of all time. I'm so happy that we get more Fantasy Life. It's amazing. I wouldn't have expected it, not in 100 million years. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. Get excited. Let me know what you thought about the Direct and anything else that you found exciting in that in the comments below. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye.